Good morning, everyone. It's Miss T. I'm hoping everyone woke up this morning, had slept good last night, and are in a good mood. I came on here today because I thought if I just um, started talking about what I what I've been dealing with, what I've gone through, or what I've read, even on yesterday or the day before, that I would just share it to keep, because maybe someone else needs to um, hear it too. So what I was thinking, when you watch movies, they give a lot of movies are just basically reality. They just make a movie out of it. And so when you watch old war movies or gladiator movies, things like that, um, you see that how the art of attack, or the art of the way that they try to defeat their opponent, um, they had to think of different ways, because back in during the Bible days, weapons weren't um, introduced until uh, well, that's a long. They were introduced by the children of the Watchers and the daughters of man. They came and corrupted the world. So they taught people how to make iron, and how to settle their differences with weapons, and actually eliminating people and aliving people. Before, you've seen a lot of conflicts. People would throw rocks or however, and I'm pretty sure that that was a painful death, but um, you could basically run from rocks. But over the years, weaponry has become more better and useful, where you don't even have to be in the country of the people that you're fighting. You can stand on the shore or a base or an island and shoot a rocket, a missile, or whatever over into their country, and you don't have to even be there. So the art of the personal um, war really went away a long time ago. And I don't know, I know that because of sin, everything has to do with sin. It doesn't, um, sin has caused everything. And until we are free of that, there's going to be wars, and there's going to be pain and suffering, and there's going to be all kinds of tragedies. You're going to find that, just listening to different stories of things that are happening. Some of the stories that we hear now, we wouldn't have never heard of years ago. Like, it's more ways people are unaliving people without any kind of mercy, or um, like they're soulless. Like I can't understand how a mother who carried a baby for 9 months and brought them into the world, and even took care of them till they were 4, 5 years old, and then decided to unalive them in the most horrific way, not even giving them mercy, not even giving them the decency of not having pain. This is your child. So for you to just say, I don't want this baby, or I don't want to take care of this child, and give it away, or I don't want this baby, I don't want this child, and give them a peaceful death, you give them the most horrific, painful death that you can think of. That to me means that you're demonic. There's no one on this earth that should have should be able to look at a little baby and do the things that people do to them without, like, you would think you would snap out of, like, this is a little baby. They can't even defend themselves. They couldn't even run away or anything, hide or anything. And for you to continue what you're doing, that's demonic. We, as people, would say that person needs to be put to death and never see the light of day, and whatever. But God says that person still has a chance to be saved. And some people don't understand that. They feel like, how can you save a person who would do something like that? They're not worth saving. Their life is not worth saving. Well, actually, none of our lives are worth saving. The way we look at God's plan and the what He has for us to follow, He says that all sin is sin. We can't grasp that comprehension. All sin is sin. We're like, well, she murdered her or unalived her baby. All I did was stole some money. This person is running around in a gang and shooting up people and selling drugs to the community that are poisoning our people. And this person is a serial killer, and they're taking plenty of lives. And all I do is cheat on my wife, or cheat on my husband, or because it's minor, just anything minor. That's what we think. So we put them in classifications like they're the scum of the earth. But I'm better because I don't do that. Now I might do this, but I don't do that. I'm not that bad. Well, He said all sin is sin, and He's going to judge all sin the same way. The only way that you can be saved is to repent, ask for forgiveness, and turn away from that sin. So He never said any sin that you do. Well, there are sins in the Bible that God doesn't forgive. Now, people say sins. I only know of one. Some people think taking yourself out of here is a sin. I never read that in the Bible. But of course, I'm still studying it. But I'm studying because now that I have all the books that I can go to for information, I can put it all together. I don't have to read the King James Version and wonder, what does that mean? Because I have what should have been above that, or what should have been below, or what should have been in the middle. So you can understand it was designed for us to be confused, because they were trying to alter it, trick us, lie to us, that they couldn't even, and they were so lazy that they didn't even just rewrite the whole thing. They just put took stuff out, rearranged a few words, and then put it together, and then you read it. So if you want us to believe that God is a white man, you wouldn't have left in the Bible what they were described him as, because that's obviously not a white person. I don't know any white person whose skin is dark, or maybe, you know, when they tan, I guess, but it doesn't stay that way, and it doesn't, you know, his eyes were like fire and his hair was like wool. So you were so even, you were so trying to be deceptive, but you weren't even willing to ensure that we were totally convinced that what this says is true. You didn't even bother to say, well, we're going to have to reword this. Now, all we need to do is take out the parts that say, you know, that say the truth. Remove those. Well, the whole Bible is the truth, but remove the parts that say that people of color were a part of the Bible, that people of color were God's people. Remove the parts that say that if you kidnap someone and sell them into slavery, that you should be put to death. Remove all the parts that tell us how, step by step, to make it to heaven. Remove the parts that tell us what heaven looks like, how we are aligned with the world through the stars, and remove all that, because we need to change some things so that it works in our favor. And so when you read it, that's why you're confused. And then I used to wonder, like, well, it says Jesus is not going to return until everyone hears the word. And the only thing I could think of is they must be saying the people that are on those islands, you know, they show those documentary where there's Bushman people, they still live primitively and they don't interact, you know the Bible or interact. That's what I thought, because I'm like, who doesn't know about the Bible? But of course we were confused, we were tricked again, because what he meant was the true Bible, not the Bible that man has rearranged and chopped up and screwed and stuck back together and made it a puzzle for us to not to understand, so we can say possibly this is not real, because how the way we're reading it doesn't make sense. Now I question the Bible, and so that's that caused the confusion. People are just like, I don't believe what they're saying. It doesn't make sense. I don't know what to believe, so I'm just going to live my life. He's talking about that. He's talking about the real truth. He's giving you the opportunity to know the real truth, that you can go back over it, start all over, take all the books that were removed and read it all together where it makes sense. And you can say there is a God. We don't have to wonder, well, how did, it amazes me that people believe that there's aliens but won't believe that there's a God. Where the aliens come from? Do they create us? Or they'll believe that there's different gods, but they don't believe that one God, or the Trinity, is the only God that rules this world and is coming back for his people. We will believe in Sphinx with lion heads and worship them, and worship the sun and the moon, and worship water gods, and all kinds of gods, but the true one. And I don't know if that's too, I don't know what it's for. I don't know if people put that into play. You know, when you try to deceive a group, a large mass, there's, you have to find a way to convince people that what you're saying is correct, or what they're reading, or what they thought, or what they were taught is not right. So you have to try to throw different things in to confuse them so that they don't know. And then you come along and offer them this great message and wonderful, tell them all these great things. If you know, you can be successful in life and be make a lot of money, and if you send $20 to these people, and they're going to send you some holy water, and then that's going to help you in your life. You're going to be so successful and have everything that you ever wanted. I was a child, and I used to watch those little commercials because I was an inquisitive child, and because of my childhood, like I said, I grew up fast. But I question everything. Something I don't understand, I need to know. I have to ask. And it got me, I wouldn't change me, but you know, some people don't like that. People don't want you to question. I go to church and question the pastor. Pastors don't want you to question them because they're the pastor. Well, I understand that, but if you say something I don't understand, or if you say something that I read was differently, or I interpret differently, I'm going to have to ask, because I need to understand it. Maybe you are correct and I'm not seeing what you're saying, or vice versa. Because like I said, a pastor's a man or a woman that went to school, a seminary school, or not, and was taught what to tell other people. So, like I said, I don't want to know what you were told to tell me. I want to know what God said. So I go straight to the source. I respect pastors by no, I would never disrespect one. It's hard to be a person who is trying to get people to turn their lives around and serve the Lord and be a man of God and try to keep their integrity and not have people try to bring them down. People are always looking for, when you say you're something, or people look at you and think you're special, or you're a good person, or you caring person, or there's people around that are looking for the opportunity to bring you down, so they can say, I knew that person was I knew that it was false, it wasn't true. That person, So it doesn't matter how good of a person that you try to be, or want to be, or that you're naturally. I know people who really weren't raised in a church, but they're just naturally kind-hearted and loving and care about other people. And in this day and age, people don't believe those people exist. They don't believe they don't exist, because if they are not that type of person, they don't believe that there's anybody out here that would. Why would you care about somebody else if it's not you, your children, your husband, or your circle, or whatever? Why would you care about a stranger that you don't even know? Why would you help someone that probably would not help you if you needed it? These are the questions, because people are so, like I said, they're just have been confused. They have been lied to. They have been, manipulated. They have been all kinds of things. The only thing that the man, and I'm going to say the man because I'm not going to keep saying the white man, and it's not all white men, because I don't believe that God is going to hold, just like he doesn't hold anybody accountable for other people's actions. They do. There's things in the Bible that says father sins of the father, and that kind of thing. And but the direct sin, like he might so what happened to Ham when he seen Noah naked was not a sin to all the rest of his people. It was just to his son. And what the sin was, or not the sin, what happened was that son and his generation were to be kind of like slaves, but not slaves, but they were to serve their brothers' people. And that was just that to them. It didn't say for the rest of your life or for the rest of your coming members of your family, this is what their lives are going to be. They're going to be servant. That's not what he said. We don't know why. What was the message about his son taking the brunt of what his father did? But those are specific messages. They're not, people take the Bible, read it, and then say, oh, it says here that you're going to be punished for something that your father did. No, that's not what it said. God said you're going to be judged by your words, your life, your how you treated people, what you did. He didn't say, and then after that, you're going to be here. I'm going to tell you what your great grandfather did, and what he did is what that's not. Would that be fair? Would that be a just judgment? That maybe you were a wonderful person and you followed God to the letter. Everything that he told you to do, you did, and more. But you're now being punished because your great grandfather had slaves, and they tortured and unalived them, and he did horrific things, or he was a Nazi leader, or he was whatever, and so now you're going to pay for it. Why would you have to pay for it? Because that person's coming back for his own judgment. He's going to stand up in front of God and pay for his own judgment. So, like I said, people will keep us confused so that we just give up. Oh, I can't. What? I don't even understand what this says. And then people say, okay, well, they wrote the Bible, and everything from the New Testament, from the Old Testament is. We don't have to listen to none of that stuff because they changed it in the New Testament. We don't have to do this, and it changed it. It says that Jesus did not come to abolish the law. He came to fulfill it. And so nothing in the Bible was taken away or told, crossed out. So people need to stop interpreting. Do you really read the Bible? Because if you did, you would find your answer there. Who made up the story? Did a pastor just come out and say, well, the Bible says that we don't have to follow anything in the Old Testament, and everybody got excited because there were some things in the Old Testament that they wanted to do, and so nobody went and read the Bible for themselves. They just went by what he said, and then it just trickled down. Because anything you want to know, other than the things that were missing, is there, and it says it plainly. If you do this, this will happen. He lists all the things that are sins. He tells you how to be humble, how to be loving, how to love your brother. And when he says brother, he means everyone, because really, even though we don't want to admit it, we are all related. We came from the same two people. People don't want to believe that, because how did we get here? How did we all end up in a different culture with different cultures and different? Because God is God, and God can do anything that He seen. We don't know. We don't know how. We do know when we first started out, we were all I'm trying to be, I don't want to say the same, not the same race. We were all darker people, because it says that in the Bible. And then the part that they took out, because see, when you wonder how did the colors come, how did the different races, because we'll call them races because that's what they are now. That's not what they called them in the Bible. But how do we get black, white? And they only focus on black, white, and is it Asian, or I'm not sure if that's the word. Maybe it was Asian. How do we get those three different races if we all started out one color or one dark hue? Because black is not a color, white's not a color. It's a not a pic. It's a. I have to look up the word, but even Africans, the darkest African is not black. But anyway, we'll get you know me, we'll get off track. So if and then you wonder, you wonder, well, how did that happen, and how did this happen, and why did he say, in order for you to get to heaven, you have to decipher how we got all these different races of people? Did he say, in order for you to be saved, that you have to figure out why the stars can hang in the sky, or the moon knows when to go to sleep? I heard somebody say the moon was asleep, or that the sun knows when to rise. Do we have to know those things? No, that's not. He didn't know. We don't. This is what people do. When someone tells somebody to do something, we always want to go and look for the stuff, find out things that weren't even in the equation. I said, take this bucket of water, this clear bucket of water, carry it over there, and then set it down. Then people want to say, well, how many steps does it take for me to take this bucket of water all over there, and then how far, does any spill out or evaporate when I evaporate? Is that the right word? Evaporate by the time I get there. When all you had to focus on was to take the water over there, we cause more stress and problems and unnecessary confusion to ourselves. All I know is what I read and what God told me, or what I feel and what he's let me know, and how to live my life in order to make it to heaven. That's what I focus on. I don't care that David built. How did David kill Goliath with a little rock? That's impossible. Hit it in his forehead. That's impossible. I don't I don't care. I mean, they're wonderful stories. They give you stories of strength, faith, all kinds of things. But I focus on what he told me, or what he wants me to do to get to heaven. I have too much trying to better myself, working on bettering myself to get there. God knows my heart. So I don't believe he just says, you're just, nope, you let a word slip, and so that's it. You're done for. Nope, that's not the kind of God I serve. I know that's not the kind of God I serve. He brought me from a place somebody else would have left me and let me rot. So I know that's not the kind of God that I serve. What you need to know is what God you serve. I don't wonder when bad things happen to me. I don't wonder why. Well, why did this happen? Because you were doing something you weren't supposed to be doing. You were in sin. You wasn't thinking about, oh, poor me, when you were doing it. So chuck it up, get right with the Lord, and stop. Then you won't have to go through that anymore. You won't have to feel pain. You won't have to, grieve. I grieve. Of course I'm going to grieve, because there's going to be bad things that happen in the world. There's going to be bad things, and have been bad things that happen in my family. There has been things that I've gone through that most people have never, ever would imagine. But I'm here, and I'm only here because of God's grace, mercy. He's the one that holds me up, nobody else. When I was by myself and didn't know what I was going to do, or got to my lowest self, and I'm transparent with you guys some ways, because you have to understand. You have to let people understand the depths of where sin can take you, why it takes you there. So, like, I was raised in the church, but it was kind of like difficult for me. My mom was, she was strict on the word. God's love, he's love. He's not scary, and he doesn't wait to punish you every step. And as a child, you take that in, because my mom led me to believe everything that I did was a sin, and I was so scared that I was going to be burned up in hell my whole entire childhood. And plus I was being abused. And I say that because I just want someone who hears me. There is nothing you can't come from. I love my mother. I forgave my mother. My mother changed into a different person. She started serving the Lord, and she became a very vocal person for God. She, in my community, she's well known and respected. So I just chalk it up to God makes people strong. He has to, like I just said, I wasn't Job. Job, I figure, was the only person who suffered tremendously on this earth, and he never cursed God once, and he never asked why, and he never said, oh, woe is me, and he never said none of that. God gave him all his things back tenfold, but he went through that. He had to go through that. So My journey was mine. So maybe that's what I had to go through to put me here, to put me where I can see how a person who does something wrong, or a person who's probably not very or a promiscuous woman, or someone who's on drugs, maybe because I can see, we don't know what people have gone through in their lives. And when you go through something, there's choices. Some people take their trauma and it stays with them, and that's why they continue to self-destruct. Other people take their trauma, they learn from it, they try to change how they do things. And that was me. The person that God made me like it's strange. I wasn't a scary kid. The only thing I was scared about was going to be burned in hell. But as far as, I'm scared to, I'm not going to do that, because I had to be strong. I had to be strong. And so a person who is serving the Lord and decides to spread his message has to be strong. People are going to attack you. People are going to talk about you. People are going to call you a liar. People are going to say just bad things about you, period, because they don't want to hear. Quit coming in. We're tired of you always and I'm going to say, I'm going to say here on this app, because that's where I'm spreading most of my message. And then so I have, maybe I shouldn't have ventured off into different chats, because, some of them chats you're probably not wanted in, but they won't. They'll tell me. I've even said, if you if you don't want me in here, just tell me to go, and I'll go. But people are like, we're having fun, because sometimes talking about God is not fun to people. It's fun to me. I mean, it's everything to me, but people are not me, and I have to understand that. I have to realize that, but I can't judge them for that, because I don't know their journey. I don't know, if something happened to them so horrific that they blame God. There couldn't be a God if this was allowed to happen to me. So all I can do is do what God asks me to do, and let Him do the rest. I can't save anyone. I can't change anyone's mind. I can't force anyone to do anything. And He doesn't tell me to. He says, plant the seed. What I'm doing is sharing some of my experience and what brought me here today, and trying to spread His message, and it's some of my own selfish reasons, because Jesus is not going to return until everyone hears the message. And I'm tired of this earth. I'm tired of this world. I know there's people like me. I am tired of this ugly, evil world. So anything to hasten His return, I'll be happy to do. And I'm not being cocky, because some people will say, who said you were going to heaven? Or who told you were going to heaven? No one. All I do is do what God has asked me to do. And I have faith, and I believe, and I know He's real. He has showed me too many times over it. It's ridiculous how much, how you keep denying what you're seeing But you can't, because it's right there in your face. Um, so what I believe is when God said, if you do what I ask you, this is, repent, turn away from the sins that you're doing. These are the sins, and try to love one another. Help my people that are less fortunate than you, because that money that you're making, I, that's my, I allowed that. Wasn't on, um, and it can be taken away. I could lose my job. I could lose my house. And then I'd be one of those people that God was talking about, helping, for people to help. Because no one is safe from anything on this earth. You can be taken down at any moment. So if you think you got it going on, if you think you are the best, if you think your stuff don't stink, let me tell you, I hope you never have to find out how much you don't have it going on. I don't wish any bad on people, but that's not my choice. God has something for everyone. Everyone has to learn something. Sometimes he has to take somebody all the way down to their lowest for them to see, because they're stubborn, and build them back up. So that's your journey. Your journey's not my journey. My journey's not her journey. Her journey's not his journey. All I can say is God impressed me to keep talking. Even if I just get on here and just talk, because time is winding up. There's no time to sit back and vacation. There's not time to just the things of this world. He doesn't say you can't. Of course, we live in this world. We can't run from what because this is the place that we live, in this sinful world. But there's things that you can do to not be indulging in the things that are going on in the world. You don't have to just because you got invited to P. Diddy's party doesn't mean you had to go. You have to go. So I just, even if it's just a little short something, or if I put something on my community wall or something, I'm going to try and just keep God on people's minds. Till you're block me, unfollow me if you don't want to hear it. But I know you people aren't. I just feel like I can feel people's aura. I don't know if other people understand what that is. I'm sure there's a lot of people that do. But without even being in the presence of somebody, just by interacting with them, not even seeing them, you can feel the time, their energy, or the type of spirit that they have. And a lot of them talking helps you. You can tell people who are hurt and are basically taking it out on everybody else. Because if I'm hurt and I'm mad and I'm upset, I want everybody to be mad, hurt, and upset too. I don't want to carry this burden alone. And plus, I want to show people that I'm tough. I don't care about anything. Nothing gets to me but when I go home at night, I cry. I break down. I don't have anyone else to talk to, because I don't want people to know. They'll say weak, that I'm weak. But crying is not weak. Like I said, if you weren't meant to cry, you wouldn't have tear ducts. And he gave them both to men and women. And men, stop telling your sons to stop crying. Stop punching them and tell them you're not a sissy. You're acting like a girl. Stop doing that to your kids. They have the right to have emotions, feel their emotions, express their emotions. When they do, be a father and explain to them what they're feeling, and explain to them how you're there for them, and no matter what, you're going to always love them. Because what they're thinking is, if I keep crying, my dad's not going to love me. He's going to, maybe he'll walk away. I don't know. I'm just going to stop crying, trying not to cry. And then when they stop, they build all that stuff inside, and then it until it explodes. And then that's when they maybe shoot up their school, or that's when maybe they join a gang or rob a bank, or decide they don't want to go to school and learn anything, or just doing anything because they don't have any other way to release all that stuff that they have inside of them, because they're not supposed to cry. Well, that's all I'm going to be talking about today. We'll find out what I'll be talking about tomorrow. We'll all find out together. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day. I hope you're blessed. I hope that everything in your life is going well. I hope that you're seeking the Lord, even if it's just a prayer in the morning or something. I hope that you're helping someone. If you see them, then they're hungry. I can't stand to see people hungry, and especially children. So if anything that I've said, or any kind word I've said to you, I would hope that I'm just asking you to pay it forward. Just maybe sometime, I'm not asking today, that you would go, and if you see somebody who's on the street and they're hungry, and if because people are like, I'm not giving them any money because they're not going to do nothing, but buy them some food, or give them some, and you'll see how better you'll feel. That person will remember you. And God also sends angels. He sends people. That person that's sitting on that ground, who has probably been sitting there for who knows long, decided that day that they were going to end it because they were tired of living, of being on they are. And God put you there to feed them, to let them know that He has not forgotten them, and that He loves them, and there's going to be a better day. So if you just think about it as like that, I'm sure a lot of people would change some of their ways. But I appreciate everyone. I always appreciate my supporters. You guys have been wonderful to me, and I really appreciate that. I met some beautiful people in here, and I pray for all my YouTube friends, and I'm going to continue to go in chats sometimes. Sometimes I have to leave, but I'm going to go in chats and be annoying with positivity. You can ignore it. I just want to put it in the chat, so that if maybe you were thinking about it and you don't want to say it out loud, that you see it. So everyone be blessed. Until next time.